There is a saying, no sin goes unpunished. Time eventually delivers justice. Every injustice committed in this world finds its judgment in this world as well. Hello, I am Jack, and today I bring you a chilling real-life incident. A story where the sins committed 100 years ago continued to haunt the next generation. The beginning. During our university life, my friends and I often spent nights chatting, playing cards, or cooking biryani in our shared mess. That night too, we planned to cook biryani and invite the guard uncle as well. It was raining heavily with thunder, and somehow the topic shifted to ghosts. Hearing this, the guard uncle's face suddenly became tense. Our friend Michael laughed and asked, "Uncle, what happens if someone talks about ghosts?" Everyone chuckled. Uncle lit a cigarette, took a long puff, and said, "There are no ghosts, but there are jinns and devils. The biggest mistake of my life happened during my final year at the university." And then he began his story. Year 1995. After finishing our third year, we, David, Joseph, Kuba, and Tava, planned a trip. Kuba suggested, "Let's go to my village. My grandfather's estate is still there. You'll love the place. And wait till you see the old mansion." We immediately agreed. Kuba had told us countless stories about the mansion, ghost stories included. 3 days later, we took a bus and headed towards his village. On the way, Kuba suddenly said, "Bro, the mansion is awake. It has witnessed too many things. Hope you won't be scared." There was something mysterious in his voice. We reached by evening. Kuba knocked on the door. His mother saw him and immediately slammed the door shut. He laughed awkwardly and after a minute, brought us inside. The house did not look like a landlord's house at all. It felt like Kuba had tricked us. At night, I asked him, "Why did your mother react like that?" Kuba replied, "This is not the mansion. Tomorrow morning I'll take you to my grandfather's real Zamindar house." The real mansion. The next morning, after breakfast, we headed out. After a 10-minute walk, we finally reached the mansion. My eyes froze. A gigantic, ancient structure stood before us. As we approached the gate, an elderly man stopped us and said, "Sir, you are not allowed to enter. Without the permission of Madam, I cannot let anyone inside. Please go back." Kuba snapped, "I am the rightful heir. I don't need anyone's permission." And he marched inside, with us following behind. The old man was still walking with us. A little ahead, we saw a small room surrounded by many statues. We counted them. There were 56 statues encircling that single room. The old man repeatedly warned us not to go near that room. Kuba normally wouldn't go there, but hearing the old man's warning, he became even more curious and started walking toward the room. The old man ran toward Kuba, but by then, Kuba had already placed his hand on the door. On both sides of the door were round iron rings, tied with a bunch of amulets and a heavy iron lock. What a mysterious sight! Just when Kuba was about to touch the amulets, the old man began pleading desperately, begging him not to open that door. Kuba said, "All right, uncle, I won't open it. But you must tell us the history of this room. Why so many amulets? And why all these statues?" The old man took us into another room, sat down, and finally began speaking. He started telling us the ancient history of Kuba's grandfather's era, the history of a Zamindar estate, the witnesses of dark rituals and occult practices. Every corner of this estate still carries the footprints of the devil. The creator of these dark arts, a man whose sins are beyond measure, brought a wave of disaster upon this village 90 years ago. He was the Zamindar. His name was Logan Darkwell. Although born a Christian, he had a dangerous obsession with Kali worship and black magic. To gain this estate, he had even sacrificed his own 3 brothers, burying them alive with his own hands. In the history of the village, he was known as one of the most hated men. Greedy for power and wealth, he never hesitated to perform occult rituals on anyone. People of the village knew him for his anger, arrogance, and lust, but no one knew about his dark practices. As the thirst for power grew, his obsession consumed him. One dawn, the village woke up to loud screams from a house. When everyone reached there, they discovered that the pregnant woman of that house had gone missing. Chaos swept through the entire village. Logan Darkwell was informed. He visited the victim's family, gave them some money as help, and assured them that his men would find the missing woman. Days turned into months, but she was never found. 6 or 7 months later, during a Zamindari meeting, Logan Darkwell arrived with a young boy. There was something disturbingly unnatural about the boy's face. During the meeting, Logan had a heated argument with Ethan Crow, a Zamindar from a distant region. Logan stayed silent for a long time. Then he looked at the boy and gave him a slight nod. The boy gave a disturbing smile and fell silent. Ethan Crow left the place that very day, unaware that his nightmare had only just begun. According to Ethan, a strange curse seemed to fall upon his estate. One by one, the fertile fields withered. The cows and goats dried up like lifeless wood, and an invisible presence lurked in his house day and night. One night, Ethan Crow and his wife heard footsteps inside their room. They called out, "Who's there?" Immediately, voices echoed from all 4 corners of the walls. "Will you play Holai? A Holai of blood. Here, I've left a gift for you." Terrified, Ethan lit the hurricane lamp. Yet he saw no one. But what they were about to witness was beyond imagination. When Ethan placed his hand on the bed, he felt something sticky, like glue. As he brought the lamp closer, the sight before him shattered his world. His 7-month-old child lay half-eaten. The flesh had been torn away so brutally that parts of the skeleton were exposed. Yet surprisingly, not a single bone was broken. Ethan's wife collapsed mentally from the shock. She swore she would not cremate the child until the truth behind this unnatural death was uncovered. Ethan called every shaman and occult practitioner from the region. Among them was, after Ethan Crow seized the Zamindar estate, Logan Darkwell continued living there. 2 or 3 months passed. Then one day, loud knocks echoed from a house in the village. People rushed out, and when they saw who was at the door, the entire village erupted in shock. Who is that? Who has returned? It was the same woman who had mysteriously disappeared 10 to 12 months ago. At dawn, on her forehead was a large red bindi. Vermilion filled her hairline. Dark shadows lay beneath her eyes, and her tongue was crimson. She looked exactly like an incarnation of Goddess Kali, but she was a Christian woman. Why would she appear like this? Villagers took her home. Her husband asked, "Why are you dressed like this? And where is our child?" The woman said nothing. When her husband slapped her in anger, she suddenly grabbed his feet and burst into uncontrollable tears. They gave her water, calmed her down, and slowly she began to speak. She said, that night she had seen a dream. She had given birth to a boy, and the boy was crawling out of the room. She woke up and, without thinking, began to follow him. She kept walking until she reached a forest. There she saw a sacrificial fire pit, Havan Kund, a small wooden stool beside it, and in front of the fire stood a statue of Kali. In front of the Kali idol was a tiny baby idol, with a garland around its neck, and vermilion smeared on its face. The fire pit seemed to pull her toward itself. Without realizing it, she lay down on the stool beside it, and then she felt it, a presence near her, someone standing beside her, someone watching her. In front of the sacrificial fire pit, a man with his face covered kept peeking. After that, she remembered nothing. When she regained consciousness, she found herself imprisoned in a room, her hands and feet chained. She was given food twice a day, and 3 times a day. She was dressed like a black idol while a fire was lit in front of her and rituals were performed in front of her. Sometimes goats, sometimes pigs, and sometimes buffaloes were sacrificed. Their blood was smeared on the little child's face and used as a mark on the woman's forehead. Within a few days, the woman gave birth to a son who supposedly had no navel. Out of fear, she would not let the child come near her, but she was forced to take care of him. The boy grew unnaturally fast. Within a few months, he looked like a 3 to 4-year-old child. One day, a middle-aged man entered her room. When the man from the sacrificial pit removed the cloth from his face, the woman was shocked because he was none other than landlord Logan Darkwell. He had once said he needed to take the boy to an important meeting, but months passed and she never saw the child again. One night, She cleverly stole the key from the man who brought her food and escaped from captivity, eventually reaching this place. The men of the village began to disappear one after another. 2 or 3 days later, their half-eaten bodies were found deep inside the forest, yet strangely, not a single drop of blood remained in them. Terrified, villagers started fleeing the village. The villagers began to look at David Darkwell, the heir of the landlord family, with disgust. Seeing the suffering of the people, kind-hearted David could no longer stay silent. For the sake of the villagers, he brought a Maulana, religious scholar, from a distant region. One evening, thousands gathered in the courtyard of the estate. That night, the Maulana was determined to end the terror. The villagers searched and finally found the little boy. They brought him before the Maulana and seated him there. Then the Maulana began the ritual to imprison the demon Krito. But after consuming countless human and animal sacrifices over the years, Krito's power had grown immensely. During the ritual, 56 jinn who were assisting the Maulana were killed. At last, Krito was captured. Before being imprisoned, Krito told David, "You sinful child, you betrayed me, the blood of your father. I swear, every man of your bloodline, I will drag them to death one by one." Soon after, the boy died. He was buried inside the very room. The 56 statues were not human. They were symbols of the 56 jinn who died. And the 56 amulets hanging on the door are what keep the demon subdued even today. If this door is ever opened, a catastrophe will destroy the entire village. The old man ended the tale, saying, "No one must ever open this door." Curious, I asked him, "Uncle, no one ever returned from Ethan Crow's manor. So how did you know how Logan Darkwell was killed?" Ethan only said Logan was responsible for his family's destruction. He never mentioned what happened to his own son and family. "So how do you know all this?" The old man gave a strange smile and said, "You'll get your answers when the time comes." Since it was already evening, we left Kuba's house for the day. My mind was spinning with questions. Greed, desire, rage. How far they can push a human being. On the way back, we asked a few villagers whether the old man's stories were true. None of them had heard anything like it. They simply said, "Maybe he fooled you with nonsense tales." It was already late at night. Around 9 at night, Kuba's mother called us from the kitchen. We headed there to have dinner. While eating, I asked her about the old landlord's house. Auntie said the house had been abandoned for many years. They inherited it from their ancestors. Because of its bad reputation, no one wanted to buy it. No one lived there anymore, and no one even went near it. When I asked about the old man, Auntie suddenly put the rice bowl on the floor with force and said, "That man, is he hunchbacked, fair-skinned, and walks with a limp?" I replied, "Yes." Hearing that, Auntie's face darkened. She stood up and said, "Kuba, my child, all of you must leave tomorrow morning. Please don't stay here anymore." Kuba threw his plate away in anger and asked, "Why are you behaving like this?" Kuba's mother kept pleading. Then we said, "Auntie, either tell us the truth, or we won't take a single step out of here." Seeing no other option, Kuba's mother finally said, "All we know about that old man is, he is said to be a relative of Logan Darkwell. But what kind of relative? No one knows. No one really knew why he came here or what his purpose was. It was said that he used to be Logan Darkwell's assistant. When Logan Darkwell died, he was only 13 years old. Even at that age, he was strangely skilled in various dark and devilish practices. Many used to say that he wasn't human at all, that he was some sort of spirit living inside. A dead body. People believed that some demonic entity from Logan Darkwell's rituals lived within him. Kuba interrupted his mother and said, "If that were really true, then why didn't he let us open that room's door? And if he really is Logan Darkwell's assistant, opening the door should actually benefit him. So why did he stop us?" Kuba's mother had no answer to this. Indeed, Kuba's words made sense. While eating, Kuba said, "These are just superstitions. Our generation doesn't believe in such things. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in this village." His mother almost begged at his feet to make him leave. But stubborn Kuba didn't listen to a single word. We all wondered if coming here was a mistake. The next morning, after finishing breakfast, we headed toward the mansion again. But this time, the old man was nowhere to be seen. We thought the old man was probably sleeping somewhere, inside with a quilt wrapped around him. With that assumption, we entered the landlord's mansion. The entire house was empty, except for a few clocks. No cupboards, no photographs, no letters, nothing. The place felt like a barren desert. Walking slowly, we reached that room. Inside the room were 56, though of what, we couldn't tell, statues. But each stone plaque beneath them seemed to be hiding some dreadful secret. Every plaque had a different name carved on it. If even a part of the old man's story was true, then these names held terrifying meanings. We were examining the plaques when suddenly there was a loud "Fam!" on the door. We rushed there and saw that Kuba had opened the door, and the huge iron lock lay on the floor. We told him, "You shouldn't have done this." But there was nothing more to do. Since the door was already open, there was no turning back now. As soon as we stepped inside, we saw the room was completely empty, except for a small pit or casket-like structure in the middle. It was covered with a black cloth. One glance was enough to understand. It was a grave. The inscription on the stone read, "The faithful servant of Logan Darkwell. Leave immediately." There were other writings too, but the environment had turned so eerie that we couldn't read further. A strange coldness began to spread through the entire room. Kuba said, "I've heard that our ancestors had a lot of hidden treasure. Maybe they spread all these rumors to protect it. Let's see what's actually here." Saying this, Kuba pulled off the black cloth from the grave in one swift motion. We didn't even get a chance to stop him. Under the cloth was a mound of dry soil, so dry that not even a single blade of grass or a leaf had grown on it. A chill ran down our spines. It felt like some cursed, hateful spirit lay buried there, an entity upon whom God's wrath had fallen, and nothing green could grow around it. The room suddenly turned colder. Just then, we saw a strange shadow in one corner. Slowly, the shadow moved toward us. As it came closer, we realized it was the same old man. He rushed inside and immediately began scraping away the soil from the grave. We watched helplessly. We couldn't move at all. Some invisible force had frozen our hands and feet. Only our eyes were working. The rest of our bodies felt like stone. It felt like, this is a nightmare. A horrible nightmare. And everything will be fine once we wake up. We fell to the floor. None of us understood what it was. We looked at each other, realizing that we had caused a terrible incident. Without wasting a moment, we rushed out of the room. What we saw outside froze the blood in our veins. The surroundings were covered in thick fog. Through that fog, the faint face of a young boy was visible. He was lifting and throwing away 56 stone slabs one after another, as if glaring at us with a vengeful stare. We didn't delay. We began running to escape. Halfway down the road, Kuba suddenly changed. Like a rabid dog, saliva dripped from his mouth. He kept growling continuously, making the sound of a wild hunting beast. Reaching the courtyard of his house, he collapsed unconscious. Hearing our commotion, people from nearby houses gathered in Kuba's yard. We told the villagers everything. As soon as she heard it, Kuba's mother slapped us hard on the cheek. "What have you done? Who will save my Kuba now?" We sank in guilt. What had we done? We could have stopped Kuba. Why didn't we? Just then, the Imam of the village mosque arrived. Soon after, Kuba's uncle and another senior religious scholar came. They began their rituals. At that moment, the call to prayer, Azaan, was given. Hearing it, Kuba sat up, tongue out, staring blankly like a darkened statue. The two religious scholars drew a chalk circle around Kuba. Then we sat in front of Kuba and asked, "Who is living inside you?" Kuba replied, "Do you want to play holy? Remember the 56 jinn? Bring 56 more. No one can defeat Crit. I will take revenge on this village. If any of you come out on the road, I will kill you too." The two religious scholars ignored Kuba's words and continued reciting their prayers. After a while, one of them suddenly ran and jumped into the pond beside the house. The other one kept doing his rituals. Some villagers went down to the pond to rescue the scholar. At that moment, All the candles lit by the scholar went out. We froze in fear. Everything went pitch black. Kuba's mother brought a kerosene lamp. In its light, we saw something horrific. The scholar who was performing the ritual was lying on the floor. His hands and legs were twisted, his mouth wide open, eyes bulging. He had answered the call of death. Blood was dripping from the corners of his eyes. Villagers began running away in terror. Kuba started laughing, a bizarre, disturbing laughter. He fell on the floor laughing, and his eyes rolled upward. Kuba's uncles and the three of us somehow held him and took him inside. The oldest man in the village came to Kuba's house and said, "Kuba's soul is now under the control of Crit. His spirit is trapped in this small room. We cannot defeat Crit there and bring him back, but I will try." He placed Kuba inside and said, "Until I return and open the door, none of you will open it or speak." He left. After a few moments, we heard a strange, eerie laugh from outside. Then came the cry of a hawk circling around the house. Suddenly, thud, a scream from the hawk, and silence. We rushed outside. There lay the old man, dead, like the previous scholar. Beside him was the headless body of the hawk. Villagers said, the hawk was actually a jinn. It used to help him. And this old man was the last descendant of the scholar who once imprisoned Crit. There was no hope left now. Crying, we entered Kuba's room. Kuba was lying on the bed. Half his body nothing but bones. No flesh. Kuba had left us forever. His family and many villagers left the village soon after. Our curiosity and thirst for adventure cost us our beloved friend Kuba. This is a 100% true incident. If you like the story, please give the video a like, share it with friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.